guys, let's get ready and talk about when I broke my tooth during New York Fashion Week. Technically my first Fashion Week was actually the year before when COVID shut everything down and Fashion Week was virtual. But this was my first real New York Fashion Week experience, waiting in line for castings for hours, or you had to have an appointment to a casting. So I had recently signed with my first agency by Coastal. They're still my agency now. And they booked me an appointment for a casting. So I had a casting in Jersey, right across the bridge, but it was gonna be like an hour away. So I felt very prepared for this casting. I had just gotten new comp cards made since I had recently signed with a new agency. I had been practicing with them. My model bag was packed. Everything was prepared. So I went over to my friend's house. I knew these girls from Louisville and then they moved to New York before I did. So my roommate and I walk over there to have dinner and watch some reality TV the night before Fashion Week starts. When we arrive, we first of all climb to the 4th floor, no elevator, typical New York. So we're out of breath, greeting everybody when we got there. We're setting our bags down and it's a pretty narrow apartment, so everybody's squeezing by each other. And then I walk into the kitchen living room area, which is kind of just an open space, and they have a dog there. I've met this dog before, I'm familiar with the dog. I know that it is high energy but super friendly. So I go to pet the dog and the dog jumps up and we bang heads. The dog's head collides into my chin, and at first I'm ow, that definitely hurt, but no big deal. Everybody's kind of oh my gosh, are you okay? Then I'm kind of realizing that my mouth feels weird and I stand up all the way and I go to answer them and the room goes completely silent. And this dog had literally knocked out my front tooth. Half of my tooth was just on the floor. Nobody knew what to say, so it was just completely silent. It you could hear a pin drop. I freaked out. I had to walk away. Obviously, the first thing that I did was call my mom. I was in tears. I don't think I had really even processed that this had just happened. I was just freaking out about the fact that I had a casting the next day and I already have an accent from Kentucky. I cannot walk in there missing a front tooth as well. So my mom calms me down a little bit and then we start calling emergency dentists. I have to get into the dentist tonight or early the next morning to make it all the way to Jersey afterwards. So I come back into the room and everybody's kind of just trying to feel it out, see how I feel before they talk, and then we all just start calling dentists. My mom is calling dentists from Kentucky, she's in Kentucky calling dentists in New York. Every single one of us is on the phone with the dentist. At this point we've called so many offices and they're we don't even really know if we'd be able to fix it day of because we don't know how severe the damage is. At this point we are just trying to figure out what are we really realistically going to be able to do before this casting. And one of the girls that lives there does tooth gems, so she brings up the idea of gluing my tooth that we found on the floor back onto the tooth that was in my mouth. So I'm literally thinking that we're gonna have to basically nail glue this tooth back into my mouth temporarily for this casting. This is the state that my mind was at this point. Finally, we're able to secure an appointment at a dentist's office early the next morning. Now, you might think that, okay, I'm super relieved at this point, but keep in mind, I still don't know if they're actually going to be able to fix my tooth today or how long that's going to take, and I have to be at a casting that's over an hour away, and you know how it goes with the dentist, you're never just in and out. Luckily, it was the bottom half of my tooth, so there was no nerve damage or anything, and when I tell you they filled this tooth in like an acrylic, I've never seen anything like it before. Yeah, they literally filled my tooth like an acrylic and I was on my way. I made it to my casting literally right on time and walked in my first New York Fashion Week show the next week. This is the best mascara ever. It's from Thrive. If you've never heard of tubing mascara, I was mind blown when I found this. It comes off with like just water, just all the way off, so it leaves no stain or on your eyes. Anyway, now I feel like I'm prepared for anything, and half of my front tooth is fake. Thank you guys for getting ready with me. Bye!